A very good morning all. Already we finished nothing but the unit 4, nothing but the miscellaneous agents. In that we finished the expectorant emetics, then astringents, then antidotes as well as the poisons. And one more is the hematinics chapter. These 4 subunits we finished into the unit 4, nothing but the miscellaneous agents. Now we have to start about the unit 2nd. So unit 2nd, nothing but we have to start the unit 2nd. In that we have to study the acid bases and buffers, then measure extra and intracellular electrolytes and the dental products. Your sessional exam is there in which date? Nothing but the, I think 23. I think it is going to start from the 22. So your sessional, my paper is the 25th. So in your sessional exam, both sessional, nothing but the sessional first and the sessional second. So you have to, actually we have to cover the 3 topics, 3 units, nothing but the unit 2, unit 4 and the unit first. Already I started into the practical. In that we finished the nothing but the limit test, 5 limit test you have to study. I think 3 batches are finished, the 2 more batches are remaining, so that also I will take to the next practical. So we have to start the now we are going to start about the unit 2nd. In that acid bases and buffers we have to study. So in that, what is mean by the acid, what is mean by the base, what is the role of the acid bases in pharmaceutical systems, which buffer systems, what is mean by the buffer, what is the role of the buffer, which buffer systems are used to maintain the pharmaceutical system. So what is mean by the isotonicity, everything we have to study into the acid bases and buffer. Next one is the major extra and the intracellular electrolytes, that also the second subunit into the unit 2nd. So first we'll start the unit 2nd. In that first subunit, nothing but the acid bases and buffers. So anyone know what is mean by the acid? Anyone know acid? What is mean by the acid? What is the use of the acid? What are the examples of the acid? What is mean by the base? See, in practical, already I told what is the acid, what is the base. Acids are the substances which having a H plus ion concentration, and base are nothing but the OH minus, nothing but the hydroxyl ion, hydroxy plus hydroxyl ion. So when hydroxy and the hydroxyl ions combines, they form the formation of the salt as well as the water, nothing but the acid as well as the base. So in that, what is mean by the acid, what is mean by the base? So in that there are mainly 4 theories are used to explain the, there are various different definitions of the acids as well as the bases. So acid is nothing but the H plus ion, base is nothing but the OH minus ion. H plus is also called as a proton, base nothing but the OH minus ion. What is called as a OH minus? H plus is the proton donor, base is nothing but the proton acceptor. So there are various definition of the acids and bases. So they are mainly defined by using the 4 theories. First one is the traditional theory, nothing but the own, nothing but the previously. Traditional म्हणजे पारंपरिक. So traditional theory. Then Arrhenius scientist also explained the acid base theory, so it is also called as a Arrhenius theory. Next one is the Bronsted and Lowry theory. So Bronsted and Lowry also one of the scientists, they both also explained about the acid base. So in that also, that is the name given by the Bronsted and Lowry theory. And last one is nothing but the Levy's theory. So these are the 4 theories. They can differently they can explain about the acid and bases. See, here I give one picture also. When the acid and base reacts, when the acid and base reacts with each other, formation of the salt as well as the water. Already I told what is the acid and the base. When the acid reacts with the H plus ion, reacts with the OH minus ion, formation of the salt as well as the water. So acid and the base. So one by one we'll take what is the traditional theory, how they can explain about the acid as well as the base. See, what is the traditional theory? According to traditional theory, what is mean by the acids? Acids are the substances which converts the blue litmus paper to the red. Already in our practical exam, in already practical, we carry out the neutralization process, or we carry the alkaline process. Alkaline nothing but the acidic solution, you have to make the alkaline. So you have to change the litmus paper. In that we can identify whether your compound is the acidic or basic. So according to traditional theory, how they can define as an acid? See, in every time in exam they can ask the question, define acid base. So you have to explain any, according to any theory you can define the acid or base. According to traditional theory, what is mean by the acid? Acids are the substances which converts blue litmus paper to red litmus paper. So very simple in Marathi, Anita, nothing but the means acid. So Amlari, Amlakshari, that is a Marathi word. So Anita, nothing but the in acid, means acid. Nira, nothing but the blue. Ta म्हणजे तांबडा, nothing but the red. Blue litmus paper changes to red. According to traditional theory, what is mean by the acids? Acids are the substances which converts blue litmus paper to the red. That is called as a acid. Then another one which having the pH less than 7. Those compounds shows the pH. What is mean by the pH? What is this pH?
Power of hydrogen.
What is the pH? Power of hydrogen, which shows the less than 7. Nothing but that solutions are nothing but the acidic solution. Those compounds showing the pH less than 7, that is nothing but those compounds are act as a acid, which having a sour taste. Which having a sour taste. Those compounds which having a sour taste, nothing but the acids. Then which reacts with the bases to form the salts and water. See here example also I give. HCl. When HCl reacts with the base, example acid is the HCl is the acid. So base is nothing but the NaOH. You take HCl plus NaOH. When reacts with what they will give, the formation of the NaCl plus H2O. See, just you take the example, nothing but the hydrochloric acid is the example of acid, and base is nothing but the simple, I am taking the NaOH, nothing but the sodium hydroxide. HCl plus NaOH, what they will give the reaction, nothing but the NaCl plus H2O. See, in that only they give react with the bases when that acidic compound react with the bases to form the salts and water. See, either sodium chloride, when hydrochloric acid reacts with the sodium hydroxide, see NaOH plus HCl, formation of the salt as well as the water. So this is the definition of the acid as according to traditional theory. What is mean by the acids? Those are the substances which converts blue litmus paper to the red. Those substances or those compounds which shows the pH less than 7. Those compounds having a sour taste, and those compounds react with the base. They have to react with the base to form the salts and water. Nothing but these all substances are called as a acid. The exam which are lucky define acid, then you have to write down those substances which are able to convert the blue litmus paper to the red. Those substances having the ability to show the pH less than 7. Those compounds having a sour, म्हणजेच काय आंबट. Those compounds having a sour taste and react with the bases to form the salts and water. That is called as a acid according to traditional theory. ट्रॅडिशनल म्हणजेच काय पारंपरिक जुनी, जेव्हा कुठल्याच थेरी डेव्हलप झाल्या नव्हत्या तेव्हा ऍसिड कसं ओळखायचं, तर कंपाऊंड, जो कंपाऊंड निळा पेपर रेड मध्ये चेंज करतो, लिटमस पेपर चेंज रेड मध्ये होतो, देन त्या कंपाऊंडला, ज्या कंपाऊंडला पीएच लेस दॅन 7 आहे, ज्याला आंबट टेस्ट आहे, आणि जेव्हा तो बेस सोबत रिॲक्ट होतो तेव्हा देर इज अ फॉर्मेशन ऑफ द salt and water. What is the example of the acid? Simple only. There are so many acids are there. Strong acid, strong base, weak acids, weak bases are there. Strong acid, weak bases are there. There are the two types of the acid: strong acid, weak acid. So hydrochloric acid example is the hydrochloric acid. That hydrochloric acid act as a strong acid. Next one is the what is mean by the base. So base are the substances which converts the red litmus paper to the blue, opposite to acid. Acid, what is the acid? Those are the substances which converts the blue litmus paper to the red. What is mean by the base? Those substances which converts the red litmus paper to the blue, which having the pH greater than 7. See, less than 7 compounds act as acidic as per the traditional. More than 7, that compounds act as a basic. So the compound which shows the pH greater than 7, that compounds act as a base. That bases are the bitter in taste. That the bases are the bitter in taste. Just to check, NaOH having a taste. See, but practically when you test actually they are having a bitter taste. So that the NaOH, the example I give here, sodium hydroxide, many bases are there, strong bases as well as the weak bases. So example is nothing but the simple example, sodium hydroxide. So that compounds having a bitter taste, that compound act as a basic compound. And when that the reaction, when they react with the acid to form the salts and the water. जेव्हा ऍसिड बेस सोबत रिॲक्ट होतं तेव्हा फॉर्मेशन ऑफ द साल्ट अँड वॉटर, आणि जेव्हा बेस ऍसिड सोबत रिॲक्ट होतं तेव्हा पण फॉर्मेशन ऑफ द salt and water. That is called as a base. So according to traditional theory, what is mean by the base? These are the substances which converts the red litmus paper to the blue, which having the pH greater than 7, which shows the bitter taste, compound which having a bitter taste, and those compounds react with the acid, formation of the salts and water, that all are called as a base. If you wrote like that, the compound which having a bitter taste, that is called as a base. That also correct. Those compounds shows the pH greater than 7, that compounds all act as a basic in nature. Those compounds which shows the, which converts the red litmus paper to the blue, that compounds also called as a base. Example is nothing but the sodium hydroxide. All of you understand what is mean by the acid and base? कळालं का सर्वांना?
Yes, ma'am.
So what is the acid? These are the compounds which shows the, which converts the blue litmus paper to the red, having the pH less than 7, sour in taste, reacts with the bases to form the salts and water. Example is nothing but the HCl. Then next one is the H2SO4 is the strongest acid. So there are the mainly two types of the acid, strong acid as well as the weak acid. What is mean by the base? Which converts the red litmus paper to the blue, which having the pH greater than 7, which having the taste bitter, and which react whenever they react with the acid, formation of the salts and water, that compounds act as a basic compound. So next one is the what is mean by the, so this is the according to traditional theory, this is the definition of the acid and the base. Now we have to go for the next theory, nothing but the Arrhenius theory. According to Arrhenius theory, what is mean by the acid and the what is mean by the base? So according to Arrhenius theory, see what is the name of the Arrhenius? Nothing but the Savante Arrhenius. So Savante, name of the Arrhenius. So this is the name of the scientist, Savante Arrhenius. Arrhenius is the scientist. So what is the name of this? So in 1884, they developed the Arrhenius theory, which is related to the acid and base. That theory they gave the name nothing but the Arrhenius theory, as well as the electron dissociation theory. See, this theory nothing but that completely depends upon the electron. So it is also called as a electron dissociation theory. So which scientist? Nothing but the Savante Arrhenius. They developed this Arrhenius theory in 1884. That Arrhenius theory, the alternative name is the electron dissociation theory. So what is mean by the acid and base? According to Arrhenius theory, acid is a substance that can release the hydrogen ion when dissolved in the water. That nothing but the Arrhenius theory. That is nothing but the acid. According to us, Arrhenius theory, what is the definition of the acid? These are the substances which can releases the H plus ion. But kadi they have to dissolve into the water. So that these are the substances. Whenever they dissolve into the water, there is a releasing of the H plus ion. Then another definition, a substance which dissolved into the water gives the H plus ion known as a acid. बघा इथं काय केलं आपण HCl reacts with the H2O. काय म्हणते त्यांनी तुमचे H प्लस आयन काय मध्ये वॉटर मध्ये डिझॉल्व्ह झाले पाहिजे. दे कॅन रिलीज द हायड्रोजन आयन in a water. There is a formation of the releasing of the H plus ion. So HCl plus H2O, what they will give? Reaction होते का? होते का? अरे आहात का तिथे सर्वजण? All of you audible?
Yes, madam.
Then whatever I am telling, are you listening? So what is mean by the acid? Acid is a substance that can release the hydrogen ion when dissolved into the water. Or what is the another definition? A substance when dissolved into the water gives the H plus ion. See, NaCl plus H2O. There is a releasing of the H plus ion. See, आपण जर इथं एक्झाम्पल घेतलं HCl चं आणि आपण काय केलं इथं डिझॉल्व्ह केलं इन दिस म्हणजे अकॉर्डिंग टू वॉटर इन प्रेझेन्स ऑफ द वॉटर आपण जर डिझॉल्व्ह केलं तर रिलीजिंग ऑफ दी H प्लस ऍज वेल ऍज द Cl मायनस आयन. आपण आता पूर्ण रिएक्शन घेऊया. आपण काय करूया NaOH प्लस HCl घेऊया. There is a formation of the HCl, H2O plus NaCl. A substance which dissolve into the water gives the hydrogen ion. HCl जर आपण water मध्ये dissolve केलं तर काय होतं releasing of the H plus as well as the Cl minus ion. H2SO4 घ्या, strongest acid आहे. H2SO4 जर आपण water मध्ये dissolve केलं तर काय होतं? काय होतं H plus as well as the SO4 minus. H plus 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 SO4 minus. So releasing of the H plus ion. एकच लक्षात ठेवा, what is mean by the acid according to Arrhenius theory? The acid is a substance which can releases the H plus ion when dissolved into the water. That is called as a acid. What is mean by the base? A base is a substance that can release the hydroxyl ion when dissolved into the water. See, NaOH when dissolved into the water in presence of the water. ह्या RO वर तुम्ही H2O ठेवा म्हणजे तुमचं NaOH वॉटर मध्ये डिझॉल्व्ह झाल्यानंतर काय होतं रिलीजिंग ऑफ द Na plus as well as the OH minus ion. A base is a substance that can release a hydroxyl ion when dissolved into the water, or a substance when dissolved into the water gives the hydroxyl ion. काय एकदा वॉटर मध्ये डिझॉल्व्ह झाल्यानंतर कुठले आयन रिलीज झाले पाहिजेत OH मायनस आयन, किंवा वॉटर मध्ये डिझॉल्व्ह झाल्यानंतर कुठले आयन भेटतात तर OH minus ion. A substance when dissolved into the water gives the hydroxyl ion, or a substance that can release the H plus OH minus ion when dissolved into the water. So this is the base. See, NaOH example is the sodium hydroxide. जेव्हा तुम्ही वॉटर मध्ये डिझॉल्व्ह करतात releasing of the hydroxyl ion. According to Arrhenius theory, this is the definition of the acid as well as the base. What is the definition? Nothing but the according to Arrhenius theory. According to Arrhenius theory, what is the definition of the acid? Acid is a substance that can release the H plus ion whenever dissolved into the water. That is called as a acid. Releasing of the H plus ion related to the Arrhenius theory. Releasing of the OH minus ion, but only one condition, they have to dissolve into the water, or in presence of the water they have to release the H plus as well as the OH minus ion. That is called as a acid as well as the base. You have to write down the example also. Next one is the what is mean by the neutralization reaction. What is the neutralization process? What is mean by the neutralization? When acid and the base reacts with each other, there is a formation of the salt as well as the water. Nothing but the neutralization process already started. So hydrochloric acid reacts with the NaOH. There is a formation of the sodium chloride as well as the water. NaCl act as a salt. NaOH is the base, HCl is the acid. So there is a formation of the salt as well as the water. Formation of the water as well as the salt. Nothing but the neutralization process. What is mean by the neutralization? When acid reacts with the base. जेव्हा acid base सोबत react होतो तेव्हा काय formation होतं? Salt. Nothing but the neutralization reaction, formation of the salt as well as the water. See, आपण दुसरं example घेऊया. When H2SO4 reacts with the NaOH, weak, so म्हणजे base आणि acid, there is a formation of the NaSO4, sodium thiosulfate plus H2O. There is a thiosulfate also act as a salt. So you can take the any example of the acid and base. There is a formation of the salt. That process is nothing but the neutralization process. So according to Arrhenius theory, what is mean by the neutralization process? So neutralization as the process in which hydrogen ion and the hydroxyl ion combines to form the unionized molecule or the formation of the water molecule. See, what is mean by the neutralization? Nothing but the according to Arrhenius theory. एकच लक्षात ठेवा, न्यूट्रलायझेशन म्हणजेच काय? ऍसिड आणि बेस जेव्हा रिएक्ट होतात तेव्हा देयर इज अ फॉर्मेशन ऑफ द साल्ट अँड वॉटर. नथिंग बट द न्यूट्रलायझेशन. बट अकॉर्डिंग टू अरेनियस थेरी काय असतं? जेव्हा H+ आयन आणि OH- आयन कंबाईन होतात, hydrogen ion and the hydroxyl ion. Hydrogen is nothing but the H+, hydroxyl is nothing but the OH-. H+ ion reacts with the OH- ion, formation of the H2O, that is nothing but the unionized molecule. Unionized, they don't have ions, that is called as an unionized molecule or the water molecule. So nothing but the neutral. इथे बघा तुम्हाला मी एक्झाम्पल पण दिलेलं आहे. When NaOH reacts with the HCl, there is a formation of the salt and water. Salt and water झाल्यानंतर C, HCl, H+ plus Cl minus, NaOH, Na plus OH minus. When this H+ as well as the OH minus cross reacts with each other, there is a formation of the unionized molecule. Acid and the base reacts, the formation of the salt and the water molecule. Nothing but the neutralization process. This is all about the Arrhenius theory. All of you understand what is mean by the Arrhenius theory? See, very simple. According to Arrhenius theory, what is mean by the acid as well as the base? See, according to Arrhenius theory, acid is nothing but the which having a capacity to releasing the H+ ion, but when dissolved into the water they can release the H+ ion, that is called as acid. And the compound which releases the OH- ion when dissolved into the water, that is called as a base. What is the neutralization? When acid reacts with the base, there is a formation of the salt as well as the water. And what according to Arrhenius theory, what is the definition of the neutralization? When H+ ion combines with the OH- ion, when H+ ion combines with the OH- ion, there is a formation of the molecule. Which molecule? Unionized molecule. म्हणजेच काय? Ions होत नाहीत. Unionized molecule. Nothing but the formation of the water, that is called as a neutralization process. So example मध्ये विचारलं की define neutralization, then you have to write down this definition as well as the example. Any acid and base you take, and then you can release the H+ as well as the OH-. There is a formation of the water molecule. See, what is the limitations? म्हणजेच काय? याचे आपण कुठपर्यंत ही Arrhenius theory आपण कुठल्या कुठल्या सबस्टन्सला किंवा कुठल्या कुठल्या ह्याला आपण ही Arrhenius theory अप्लाय करू शकतो? वॉटरला, बिकॉज ह्याच्यामध्ये ऍसिड आणि बेस मध्ये काय दिलेलं आहे त्यांनी की जेव्हा ते डिझॉल्व वॉटर मध्येच होतात तेव्हा काय होतं? देयर इज अ फॉर्मेशन ऑफ द H+, देयर इज अ रिलीजिंग ऑफ द H+ as well as the OH- ion. So water is essential for this Arrhenius. Then you can not in that, by using this theory, you cannot able to explain the acidity or basicity of the non aqueous solvent. म्हणजेच काय, जे कंपाऊंड वॉटर मध्ये सोल्युबल नाहीयेत, म्हणजे जे ऍसिड आणि बेस असे काही कंपाऊंड आहेत की ज्याच्यामध्ये H+ आणि OH- आयन नाहीयेत, असेच कंपाऊंड काय असणार आहेत, इनसोल्युबल असणार आहेत वॉटर मध्ये. दोज कंपाऊंड कंटेनिंग द H+ as well as the OH- ion, surely they are soluble into the water, but some compounds are not soluble into the water, so they are not able to explain the acidity or basicity. See, C6H6 example they given the benzene. See, C6 as well as the H6. Benzene है, त्यानी benzene है acid है का base है, they are not able to explain because there is a not releasing of the OH- ion. So that benzene act as acid or base, they are not able to say. For that purpose, that this theory is not useful to explain about the acidity or basicity of the non-aqueous. म्हणजे those compounds are water insoluble, they are not able to explain the acidity or basicity of that compound. Example is nothing but the benzene. Benzene complete water मध्ये insoluble आहे. So next one is the basicity of ammonia. Ammoniaची basicity पण they are not able to explain. What is the formula for the ammonia? NH3. NH3, nothing but H+ ion there. H+ ions are there, but we are saying the ammonia is act as a basic. How? For that purpose, they are not able to explain the basicity of the ammonia. For that purpose, this theory is not useful to explain the basicity of ammonia. Then this also same, acidity of the BF3, barium fluoride. Then aluminum trichloride, in that also they are not able to explain why the compound act as a acid, because in that not containing the H+ ion, but they are act as a acid. So how they are not able to explain? For that purpose, so this is not useful to explain the aluminum trichloride. Then barium trifluorides are not able to explain whether their compound act as acid or base. Next one is the acidity of oxides of P block element is not explained. See, you have to know what is the D block element, what is the P block element. Already it's a 12th syllabus. So that acidity of the oxide, those containing the P block elements, that are not able to explain. See, हे तुम्ही काही लक्षात ठेवू नका, फक्त एकच लक्षात ठेवा की डिफाइन व्हॉट इज मीन बाय द ऍसिड, व्हॉट इज मीन बाय द बेस अकॉर्डिंग टू Arrhenius theory, व्हॉट इज मीन बाय द ऍसिड अँड व्हॉट इज मीन बाय द बेस. आणि फक्त लिमिटेशन्स 2 ते 3 फक्त लक्षात ठेवा की कुठला आहेत. वॉटर इज इसेन्शियल, फक्त यांनी वॉटर सोबतच रिलेट केलेला आहे. इट इज नॉट एक्सप्लेन द ऍसिडिटी और बेसिसिटी ऑफ द नॉन एक्वियस कंपाऊंड, म्हणजे जे वॉटर सोल्युबल कंपाऊंड नाहीत त्यांचं त्यांनी एक्सप्लेन करण्यासाठी एबल नाहीत. दॅट कंपाऊंड ऍक्ट ऍज ऍसिड और बेस. तुम्ही कुठलंही एक्झाम्पल घेऊ शकता. इथे त्यांनी कुठलं दिलेलं आहे, बेन्झीन. तुम्ही क्लोरोफॉर्म घेऊ शकता, ट्रायफ्लोरोकार्बन घेऊ शकता, कुठलंही एक्झाम्पल तुम्ही घेऊन ते एक्सप्लेन करू शकता. देन बेसिसिटी ऑफ द अमोनिया. या अरेनियस थेरीने तुम्ही अमाइन अमोनिया बेसिक आहे का हे तुम्ही एक्सप्लेन करू शकत नाही. का बरं? कारण NH3 याच्यामध्ये H+ आयन आहेत. H+ म्हणल्यानंतर ऍसिड येतं, पण अमोनिया ऍक्ट ऍज अ बेस. व्हाय? सो दिस थेरी इज नॉट एबल टू एक्सप्लेन द बेसिसिटी ऑफ अमोनिया. आणि लास्ट एक लक्षात ठेवा की ऍसिडिटी ऑफ द BF3 AlCl3, म्हणजे असे काही कंपाऊंड आहेत दॅट कंपाऊंड ऍक्ट ऍज अ ऍसिड, पण त्यांच्यामध्ये H+ आणि OH- आयन नाहीयेत. they compound, they are not easily explained whether they compound act as acid or base. This theory is completely related to the H+ as well as the OH- ion. ज्या कंपाऊंड मध्ये H+ आहेत आणि ज्या कंपाऊंड मध्ये OH- आहेत त्याच कंपाऊंडचं त्यांनी ते सांगू शकतात की that compound act as acid or base. This is the all about the Arrhenius theory. Next one is the Lowry Bronsted theory. See, all of you have to know acid base Arrhenius theory related to the H+ as well as the OH- ion. Now Lowry Bronsted theory. This theory is completely related to that theory is also called as a proton theory. Lowry Bronsted theory is also called as a proton theory. Arrhenius acid base theory. According to Arrhenius, acid-base theory is also called as a electron dissociation theory. This is a repeat question. Sometimes they ask the which theory is called as a proton theory, which theory is called as a electron dissociation theory. See, this Lowry Bronsted theory is called as a proton theory. According to Lowry Bronsted, what is mean by the acid and what is mean by the base? So who developed this Lowry Bronsted theory? Nothing but in 1923. डॅनिश केमिस्ट. सी, अगोदर कुठली थेरी झालेली आहे इन 1884 मध्ये, कुठली आहे? अरेनियस थेरी. 1884 च्या नंतर कोण डेव्हलप केलं आहे? तर लोरी ब्रॉन्स्टेडनं. कुठल्या ह्याच्यामध्ये? इन 1923 दॅट लोरी ब्रॉन्स्टेड, नथिंग बट द डॅनिश केमिस्ट Johannes Nicolaus Bronsted. This is the name of the complete scientist, nothing but the Johannes Nicolaus Bronsted, and the chemist Thomas Martin Lowry. They short only they gave the Bronsted and the Lowry, but the complete name is the Johannes Nicolaus and the Thomas Martin. So Johannes Nicolaus Bronsted and the Thomas Martin Lowry, they developed this Lowry Bronsted theory in 1923, which that theory is also called as a proton theory. So according to Lowry Bronsted theory, what is mean by the acid and the what is mean by the base? According to Lowry Bronsted, what is mean by the acid? Acid is the substance which donate the proton. Donate म्हणजेच काय? देणे. Which having the ability to give the H plus ion. Proton म्हणजेच काय? H plus ion. So acid is the substance which donate the proton. And what is the definition of the base according to Bronsted theory? Base is the substance which having the ability to accept the proton. Base is the substance which accepts the proton. जे काही तुमच्या ऍसिडनी प्रोटॉन डोनेट केलेले आहेत, प्रोटॉन म्हणजेच काय? H प्लस आयन. जे काही तुमच्या ऍसिडनी प्रोटॉन डोनेट केलेले आहेत ते कोण ऍक्सेप्ट करतं? बेस. दॅट सबस्टन्स इज नथिंग बट द basic compound. So according to Lowry Bronsted theory, see, proton theory, nothing but the donating as well as the accepting, nothing but the acid as well as the base. So according to Lowry Bronsted theory, what is mean by the acid? Acid is the substance which donates the proton, and base is the substance which accept the proton. See here example I give. So HA is nothing but the acid and H2O is the base. See what is there is a हायड्रोनियम आयन. म्हणजे आपण इथं काय झालं, हे H2O ऍक्ट ऍज अ बेस. सो या H2O न काय केलं, इथलं H प्लस आयन ऍक्सेप्ट केलं आणि देयर इज अ फॉर्मेशन ऑफ द हायड्रोनियम आयन. एक्झाम्पल, फक्त सम एक्झाम्पल घेतले, तुम्ही कुठलेही एक्झाम्पल घेऊन तुम्ही याचं ट्राय करू शकता. सो बेस, आता हे काय केलेलं आहे, हे HA म्हणजे A म्हणजे ऍसिड घेतलेलं आहे, B म्हणजे बेस. वेन बेस रिॲक्ट्स विथ दी H2O, आता इथे H2O काय झालेला आहे, ऍसिड. सी, H2O ऍक्ट ऍज अ न्यूट्रल विच इज अॅम्फोटरिक इन नेचर. अॅम्फोटरिक म्हणजेच काय, वॉटर ऍक्ट ऍज अ ऍसिड ऍज वेल ऍज द बेस. सो H2O when reacts with the base, it gives the OH minus हायड्रॉक्सिड आयन. म्हणजेच काय करतात त्यांनी, इथं काय केलं त्यांनी, ऍक्सेप्ट केलं. इथं काय केलं, ऍसिडनं H प्लस प्रोटॉन डोनेट केलं. H प्लस डोनेट केल्यानंतर काय झालं, दर इज अ फॉर्मेशन ऑफ द OH minus ion. That is the acid as well as the base. This is the all about the, according to Lowry Bronsted theory, this is the all about the acid and the base. See what is mean by the amphoteric, the species that can act as a acid or base. Only one example is there in GPAT. Also they can ask which compound act as a amphoteric. Nothing but the water is act as a amphoteric in nature. Nothing but the that compound act as a acid as well as the base. For that purpose, that compound called as a amphoteric nature. See what is mean by the conjugate as well as the conjugate base. See, species that remains after an acid donates. म्हणजे जेव्हा तुम्ही एखादा कंपाऊंड घेतला, तुम्ही H प्लस आयन जे डोनेट केला, आता इथं काय झालं बघा, इथं कुठला कॉन्जुगेट बेस आणि कुठला कॉन्जुगेट ऍसिड आहे बघा. इथं HA फॉर द ऍसिड, इथं बेस काय ऍक्ट केलेला आहे, वॉटर. जेव्हा तुम्ही H2O सोबत H प्लस आयन झालं, H2O म्हणजे काय केलं, इथं H प्लस आयन काय केली ह्यांनी, डोनेट केले. बेस काय केला, बेस ह्या ऍसिडनं H प्लस आयन डोनेट केला. म्हणजे हे काय, हे एक्झाम्पल कशाचं आहे, बेसिकचं. म्हणजे द बेस इज द सबस्टन्स विच ऍक्सेप्ट द प्रोटॉन. हे यांनी इथं ऍक्ट केल्यामुळे काय झालं, दर इज अ फॉर्मेशन ऑफ द H3O आयन. हे जे आहे, ए जे आहे, काय आहे ते, कॉन्जुगेट बेस. द सबस्टन्स और द स्पेसिस remains after donating the H plus ion. After donating जे काही तुमचा रिमेनिंग राहतं, that called as a conjugate base. आता बघा, this is the example of the acid. H2O यांनी काय केलं, प्रोटॉन डोनेट केला. ओके, there is a formation of the काय झालं, OH minus ion. सो ह्या ऍसिडनं प्रोटॉन डोनेट करून तिथं काय झालं, हायड्रोनियम आयन झालं. इथं काय केलं, यांनी ऍक्सेप्ट केला. सो दिस इज अ फॉर्मेशन ऑफ द OH minus ion. Acid is the substance which donates the proton. Base is the substance which accepts the proton. That is the definition of the acid as well as the base. And after donating the proton, whatever remaining, that is nothing but the conjugate base as well as the conjugate acid. This is the all about the Lowry Bronsted theory. All of you understand what is the Lowry Bronsted theory as well as the what is Arrhenius theory? According to Arrhenius, releasing of the H plus ion as well as the OH minus ion, only one condition, when they have to dissolve into the water. In presence of the water only they are able to release the H plus as well as the OH minus ion. Then according to Bronsted theory, it is also called as a proton theory. So what is the, according to Bronsted theory, what is meant by the acid as well as the base? Acid is a substance which donates the proton. Base is the substance which accepts the proton. That is called as a Bronsted theory. Next one is the Levy's theory. The third one is the, and according to traditional, what is that? The which having a sorin taste, pH less than 7, pH more than 7, basic. Then bitter in taste act as a basic, sour in taste act as a acid, and the compound which changes the blue litmus to red act as a acidic, and red litmus to blue act as a basic. Now next is the last theory is nothing but the Levy's theory. In 1923, which scientist nothing but the G.N. Lewis. See, पहिली कुठली आहे अरेनियस थेरी 1884, त्याच्यानंतर लोरी ब्रॉन्स्टेड 1923 ला, आणि 1923 ला अजून एक कुठली थेरी प्रपोज केली तर लेविस सायंटिस्टनं. सो G.N. लेविसनं कुठली थेरी प्रपोज केला तर लेविस थेरी. अकॉर्डिंग टू लेविस, व्हॉट इज मीन बाय द acid? Acid is the molecule or ion that accepts the lone pair of electron. So what is mean by the lone pair of electron? So acid is the molecule or the ion which has